Hey all, so this is War 4 against New Nation, and we got a bit of a throwback here. I'm using Torch as well as Blade, but that is primarily because there were a few dimensional beings to take care of, like this spot here, and because I have quite a few infamous Iron Man fights this war. So, starting off, we're not knocking Spot down because we're not concerned about the protection, we are just building power, and now we knock him down. I'm going to try and wait this out. I'm going to completely miss a parry and be pushed dangerously close to my special 3, which I'm not loving, but then we go ahead and throw that. Notice protection did not come back thanks to danger sense. It means we're not going to get the Fury again, but we're also not going to have to deal with the protection coming back, and so that is quite nice. And now we throw this special 3 here because I shouldn't have power backed. We got more than enough. Just boosted too big for that, but that's okay. It's just going to make this fight take longer. It's not really going to cost me anything. And we're just going to keep hitting him. Note that we haven't given him many spots. We also are keeping eyes out for when we can possibly punish his specials, because that's when we get even more ahead on the whole spot game thing. But then, yeah, eventually the debuff immunity goes down. We bleed him a couple more times with parries. We throw another special too, and it is completely over. So moving on to Kitty Pryde. Reminder that cowardice in general does not control prowess. A very common mistake. But against Kitty specifically, it does, and so all we need to do is land heavies, and she just isn't a problem as long as that cowardice is active. Now, she is going to purify it when the protection comes back, so we need to be kind of careful about that. She's going to throw this. But the other specific interaction I want to call out here is that when we Doom Slap, because that is a passive stun, that is going to apply an energy vulnerability, which is going to make it that much easier for us to get that nice KO there with our special 2. We didn't have to worry about her power at all, basically. We just had a single energy vulnerability on the opponent. We had the Fury from the node, and that was enough. Now, this Void on Power Snack, I was not originally planning to take. We had other options for it, but coordination got a little bit difficult, and so I ended up doing this. I was fine with it because I didn't have another Blade fight, but I'm pretty sure I get tagged somewhere in here. Anyway, I was mostly trying to manage the combos, but you can see I really didn't do a great job there. I probably should have held that special 2 just a little bit longer. But I'm not super worried about it because, first off, look how much damage it did. And second, we are reducing the duration of the power stings from the node, so that's less damage, and we can heal. Like, that's just something that gets thrown under. There's the mistake. That's something that gets kind of under the radar with Blade from time to time, is just remembering that if something starts to go wrong, a high sig Blade can heal very, very cheaply and more easily than most other characters in the game. And so that's why I was never really worried, even after fully eating a combo. Alright, so moving on, we're headed over to this Bishop because that is the thing that Infamous Iron Man is built to do. Bishop keeps trying to gain multiple stacks of prowess. Infamous Iron Man turns them into energy vulnerabilities. He's Incinerate immune. He reduces unblockable ability accuracy if Bishop somehow does get some prowess or is overloading. This is just a really, really good fight, and you don't have to worry about too much beyond that one prowess he starts with, because you're never going to be able to get rid of that. But notice how I am baiting out heavies and blocking immediately here, not finishing my combos, and it's because I wanted to throw my special 2 while he had 2 bars of power to get the bigger Fury from it and close it out immediately as opposed to just quickly. We're going to go ahead and get an energy refill and move on to this Mangog. And remember what I said about Infamous Iron Man controls prowess specifically when the opponent gains more than once. And so the reason Mangog is a good placement here is because if he throws the special 2, he's going to gain a bunch of prowess, and then the next one is going to be very dangerous and unblockable, except that he gains those prowess all at once. And therefore he doesn't gain them against Infamous Iron Man. And so now we are doing even more damage against Mangog. I'm actually trying to push him to his special 2, but that's okay. We can also throw our special 2. He's over a bar, so we get a Fury. It's not nearly as strong as when he's over 2 bars, but that's fine. The whole point of this is just to keep pushing him to the special 2 and blocking it for our energy vulnerabilities. I do accidentally parry, so I get a little bit of extra block damage there, but that's where the high block proficiency and armor is coming into play. I will point out the one danger of this fight is we really do not want to eat a heavy, because if we get armor broken, then, well, as usual, we're going to have some trouble. But as long as I'm staying on top of my reflexes there, we're going to be alright. So moving on to the reason I brought Torch. This is, of course, something that a lot of alliances are doing, placing a Mystic on Mighty Charge, followed by a Mystic on Mighty Charge, to try and bait out 2 torches. And that is what we did here. We used 2 torches, and so I'm bringing one of them. I'm not even remotely worried about this Sasquatch fight. I took him on Node 26 back in the old days when that was encroaching stun almost literally every war for like 4 months. Very comfortable with Torch versus Sasquatch. But I am going to be forcing the intercepts here. And for those of you who haven't heard yet, that is because the protection nodes have been fixed. They are now reducing damage from damage over time effects and special 3s where they didn't used to. And that right there you can see. As soon as the protection comes back, it stacks with his rage stacks. And that's why you're seeing so little damage done until I get another intercept in right there, and then boom, the damage balloons. So you do kind of need to pay attention to the intercepts. I mean, I could have just done this much more slowly with Torch, but people are always like, oh, Torch is doing so much damage it doesn't even matter. It kind of matters if your opponent is reducing the damage of your Nova Flames and your Power Stings by like 90%. So that's why we're being just a little bit careful. But as long as we can line up those opportunities for the intercepts, then it looks like this and closes out in a single minute. So obviously still the best counter. Moving on to Attuma here on Safeguard. Now Attuma is going to get buffed, and we know that his Thorns threat is going to go up. So maybe somebody like Doom, who's currently controlling him really well with power control and shocks, won't be as strong a counter. But Infamous Iron Man has non-contact mediums and shocks and power control, and so I expect him to continue to be a very strong option for Attuma, and that's kind of what we're seeing here, because we're going to do good damage here. I didn't quite time that properly. If you throw the special 2 after both hits of the heavy land and you time it perfectly, then that kick will hit them as they stand up, and you can get the full unblockable, but I just didn't quite do it right. But notice how after right here, as we're hitting him, those shocks, when we land them, are removing hydration. That's keeping his attack down, so we don't have to worry about that part. And it's just letting us do this much damage. So yeah, Attuma will get scarier, but iDoom is going to continue being a very, very good option. And that's War 4. So we unfortunately did win this one, we did lose this one, unfortunately, fairly decisively. We had a bit of an issue come up in BG3 where one of our players is dealing with power outages and the cell towers are not great, and so we planned with 9. And the thing is that, like, the war map can be completed with 9, but sometimes it just puts one person into a suboptimal fight, and sometimes things can cascade from there a little bit. That did happen to us, plus 1 or 2 uncharacteristic deaths, and we got the rest of the season. Stuff happens. But obviously this was fun. I'm really enjoying finding more places to use iDoom. I feel like he's kind of being underrated as just a bishop counter, as opposed to all of the different things he can do with his little pieces of utility. He's amazing for that prowess path there, because of the interaction that we saw against Mangog. Yeah. If you think he's just a bishop counter, take another look at him. I really think Infamous Iron Man is going to age very well. Anyway, until next time, thanks so much for watching, and take care.